Hey everyone, welcome to Figuring Out Fabric, where I ask dumb questions and you get smart answers. And here I've got Prathy K, who's going to talk to us about Fabric in general. She's been working with Microsoft BI from back in the SQL Server and MSBI days. Um, Her blog was a big help for me when I was learning Power BI because there'd be little niche tips and all this kind of stuff. So I definitely appreciate that. And she's also a Microsoft MVP. Um, so Prathy, I know, and you mentioned you do workshops and kind of stuff. How did you kind of get started with Microsoft Fabric? What was your kind of entry point?
Oh, with the Microsoft Fabric. Well, first of all, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
yeah,
having me on this. It was quite nice to be on it. I've seen your previous sessions, and it's nice to be on it.
yeah.
Um, how did I start with Microsoft Fabric? I think it's one of the perks of being a Microsoft MVP. You kind of know, like
Right.
you get a chance to play with the preview products. So I knew it was coming, and it was called
Project
different name. I
Trident.
think now,
It codenamed
now
Trident because, like, I guess it was like Power BI, Synapse, and Data Factory were like the three prongs, I think. And yeah, I was in the same like early access, and I just kind of bounced off of it personally, just because I think I
yeah,
got a little bit overwhelmed. So I've
yeah,
been behind on this stuff. But usually, like when I think of you, I think of you for like the Power BI kind of stuff. Um, so
yeah. Well, I think see, what really caught my attention was in those days when Twitter was there. Twitter was not called X,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
started seeing like all this Power BI leadership moving
They
into
were doing
Synapse.
this like heart transplant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know, right? Like, and I just always think there was like something going on, but like I didn't really, honestly, didn't expect Fabric at all. And then, but I kind of like I actually when Fabric came out, I wrote a blog post about it, like what I thought about it and stuff like that as well. So that was like a once like it's mostly being MVP and also knowing that like the leadership who was behind it. And once it came out, for me, it didn't scare me that much like many people.
yeah.
I think one reason was because I came from MSBI background. So for me, it actually made me feel like going back home. Like because as a MSBI developer, I did SSIS, SSRS, SSAS, and
Yeah.
SQL, like indexes and DBA stuff and all those things. And suddenly, like in Fabric, I'm kind of doing the same things, but different tools. And there were things which were very new, but it was also I also found it a bit exciting at the time, and also like there was quite a few things were not working as well, so it was a bit annoying too. But it was mostly exciting for me. That's probably the reason.
That's interesting because I think for me, when I first kind of looked at it, it felt like getting dropped into the middle of like a soap opera, like season 10. Because like Microsoft has this problem where, at least with like some of the docs and content stuff, they'll act like this is the way everybody does it, and we've always done it. And then you find out that medallion architecture is kind of made up, and that this whole like lake house sort of thing is really, really new.
Mhm.
I mean, you talk about like back before Twitter was X and all that kind of stuff, but um Lake House was like a 2019 invention, I believe. I could be wrong from Databricks, or at least when they started kind of really promoting it.
Well, I
It
don't think it's actually Databricks. Lakehouse is not Databricks.
Okay.
It's like it's it's open. So I mean, again, I wouldn't call myself a specialist in it, understanding the whole history of it. But neither of them, Spark or Hadoop and all those things, everything was open source. There were so many organizations contributed to it. But I think Databricks made it popular
Right.
because that's one of the best engine that was available, like this kind of every day-to-day enterprise organizational stuff. I think there was so many organizations who were using Hadoop, but like in the our side of the world, Microsoft side of the world and places, I think Databricks made it. And made it possible. And the other thing, the medallion architecture, the number of people talk about it. I mean, I do like it's a nice catchphrase, but like there's nothing new in it. Like we
Right.
always had like in the sequel if you read Dimensional Modeling book by Kim Ball, we had the same level
We had
layers.
staging, operational data store, all that kinda
Yeah.
stuff, right? Yeah. Um,
But it was much more easy to explain somebody the quality of data by keeping that kind of a medallion names to it. So because it's quite self-explanatory, I think that's why it became such a popular pattern terminology, to be honest.
I like the idea. I think zone-based architecture has staying power and it's real and all that kinda stuff. I think just when I say it's kinda made up, it's just that when you read stuff, it sounds like, "Oh, yeah, there's these clearly defined layers of bronze, silver, gold," and then you try to ask anyone, "Okay, what do I do in each of them, and what do I not do, and where are the hard lines?" And they'll be like, "Well, just do whatever you want, like, whatever
Yeah.
makes sense." Like, "No, I need someone to tell me where the lines are," and it's like,
Yeah, it's very
"Yeah."
blurred
You
lines.
can you can have 2 zones, you can have 5, you can have a pewter zone and a platinum zone if you want, and so I think part of it was that. Part of why I say, like, getting dropped into a soap opera is, like, if you've not been keeping up with Hadoop and Spark and all the big data stuff for the past 10 years, it can be hard to kinda get started. Um, and then the other issue is that so much of this architecture assumes you're dealing with big data. And, like, you've dealt with Power BI. A lot of the people using it is small data. So, it can be hard to understand and explain, like, why are we moving to, like, Parquet file format if maybe my data is, like, in the tens of gigabytes, you know? And you still there's still a lot of benefits. You get flexibility and you
Mhm.
get a lot of tooling support, but, yeah, it's just hard to kinda jump into.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
honestly speaking, I didn't know much about Hadoop or what Lakehouse meant, what a
Yeah.
notebook meant, what Python does, and all those things. Like I didn't know what notebook meant, like what notebook
Yeah.
does. I heard people talking about it, but I had no clue what it is. I heard people talking about Python, but I spent no time trying to understand because like there is so much happening in Power BI world, and there
Yeah.
was like this. It's so hard to keep up with just in the Power BI world what's happening. So I didn't care about it until Fabric actually came. So I looked at Fabric, I think, from a completely different perspective than trying to look at it like oh, I don't know, these things. I tried to compare each of those steps to something that I knew, like to SQL Server, to be honest,
Yeah.
and to SSIS and to SSRS and AS, like that kind of end-to-end project. How would I approach it? And I tried literally trying to do the same thing. And if you actually look at most of the patterns and most of the projects, it's exactly same thing. We probably approach things slightly differently. The functionalities are different. There is much more functionality available. But at the end of the day, what you want is you want uninterrupted data pipelines. If there is an interruption, we want to monitor it, we want to audit it, and we want our end-to-end pipelines to be perform better and make our
Yeah.
data intelligent enough to have the business their answers. So no matter which tool we use.
I think that's comforting in a way, right? That, um, w that you can kinda map these things and, there's an old website, it hasn't been updated forever, but it's called Big Data or Pokemon, so we'll put it in the
Mhm.
show notes, and it has you guess whether, like, Seahorse is a Pokemon or a big data tool, and I think it can be overwhelming even with just in the Fabric ecosystem, that kinda stuff. So, you mentioned that you do a lot of end-to-end kinda stuff. So what is, like, your customer projects been looking like for that? Are you doing greenfield stuff or extending Power BI into Fabric, or what does that look like for you?
So there is a combination of a bit of everything, honestly. So there are like some projects where like they want to do, okay, we want to do Fabric implementation.
Yeah.
So that's like They probably, but I think almost all projects that I worked on where Fabric is part of it, everyone had Power BI. I think nowadays every organization has Power BI. So with them, it was like there was existing Power BI. They heard about Fabric. They have valid use cases, and they know they want to go to Fabric. So that's why I get involved in it to
Yeah.
do this Fabric development. There are projects where they've been using Power BI for a while. They heard about Fabric. They ask us to come in. And I think this is where I sometimes I work as an individual, but quite a few times I work with other teams as well. And you go and you do a bit of analysis of how what's going on their tenant, where they could get benefited by Fabric and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's a combination of everything. There are some Power BI migrations as well from like a Power BI premium into Fabric, or like they have set of Power BI files which has been created. Actually, yeah, we have is a project. They have set of Power BI projects files. They have been created a long time ago, and quite old school development when it happened.
Mhm.
Because I think it's something very important to remember. Many people forget that Power BI, it was also once upon a time it was a new thing. And there was not that much functionality available. So the models that's been developed in those days, they're still there, still running, and they still probably does the job. But the same thing we could do 1,000 times better now. And with
Right.
Fabric, we could do much, much more. So I have this one model, it takes 2.5 hours to refresh, but
Oh,
that
no.
could get really bad. Those are the really good models which could get benefited by with Fabric extensively. So there is a combination of all sorts of projects. I still do a few Power BI reporting side things as well, but I don't think I have done since I became solopreneur, I thought I'm gonna have a lot more Power BI only projects, but honestly, not many. I still get involved in the report creations and things, but that's one element of it. I do there is a lot more of other things than just doing the Power BI report development,
Yeah, that's been
the front end side. Yeah.
that's been a challenge for me right now is I ever since, 2016, I wanted to specialize in Power BI because for me, the I got moved into the SharePoint team, and I used to be a SQL DBA, and so it's like, well, what's the midpoint? And back in 2016, it was Power BI. And I think I see a lot of frustration online of this kind of push from Microsoft for, Power BI to Fabric, but I think that there is gonna be a lot of demand for that, and I'm learning how to be a data engineer whether I like it or not, right? A lot learning a lot of this stuff because before this, never touched I'd done a little bit of SSAS, but I never touched Azure Data
Sí,
Factory, never really
sí,
touched a lot of that,
sí,
back end kind of
sí,
stuff, and with Fabric, you kinda have to learn how to be the glue that's just tying together all these different pieces, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling it's gonna be the same for me where, okay, my expectation was I'm gonna keep doing a ton of Power BI and that the work's gonna be in this kind of Fabric sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, have
But
you
I
oh,
think it's also, sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask if you've messed around with any of the certs, or if you think they're helpful for that stuff.
Sorry, could you repeat that
The
question? I didn't get.
certificate Have you messed around with any of the certifications? Do you think they're helpful for, getting a lay of the
The
land?
certificate. See, I say I am too old to do certifications. I've done I even forgot what is it called now, but for the MSBI certification set,
Yeah,
there used to be 6 exams or something. I've done all those in those days, and then afterwards, I didn't want to do certification at all, but I did do DP 600.
yeah,
And I was like, hey, I was actually happy. I didn't do, but I've been working with Fabric for a while. By then, I've
yeah,
been playing with things and stuff. So when I did the DP 600, I didn't do any preparation. I thought, okay, let's just go and see what happens.
yeah, just do a dry
Thankfully, I
run.
passed. I
Oh,
was like,
nice.
But I was a bit scared. But I was also happy to dedicate myself to 2 hours and do nothing except answering these questions. But having said that, I'm not gonna do one more until somebody tells me like I have to do.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not one of those thing that it's not my type of
I
things. But many people likes them.
I haven't had a need for certifications in forever, but there's so many different moving pieces with Fabric, I could see it being helpful with people. I mean, for me, I haven't been certified since, like, before the PL300 was the PL300, and then before that, I was certified in, like, SharePoint 2016. So it's been about a decade
Yeah.
for me, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember SharePoint 2016. You could embed SSRS reports in it or something. There
Yeah,
was yeah.
but sorry, you were saying something about I don't know if we lost the thought. I think I was talking
I
about, like, it
actually
being
lost the
just being
thought.
the
I
glue
think it
for all
was
this stuff.
something around fabric, but now I lost the thought.
That's
It's okay. It will
that's
come
fine.
back.
Yeah. Um, so what so what kinda, so that makes sense about, like, how people kinda get into it. Because to me, it makes I expect there's gonna be a lot of organizations where they're already paying for premium, and they're like, "Well, we're already paying for this, so let's take a look at these kinds of
Yeah.
features." For the project I'm working on now, they their data estate's all over the place because they signed up for something called Edify because 'cause they're in higher ed. So it's like Postgres data warehouse as a service kinda thing.
Mhm.
But it wasn't fast enough for the joins they wanted, so they were also doing stuff in Snowflake. And then, there was a new CIO who wanted everything under the same roof, so it's like, "Why aren't we doing this all in Azure?" Um, and so right now, like, we're trying to get everything set up in Fabric, and there's a lot of learning and there's a lot of pain, but long term, it's gonna be great because they can write their T-SQL, they can do it all in one place, and they can just connect the reports directly instead of having to, like, connect over an ODBC connection to Postgres
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, I think there's gonna be some big wins there.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's the thing I do like about fabric. And I also see like the organizations are liking that as well. I think that's why Power BI became one of the good
yeah,
data visualization tool. There's so much competition, but okay, Power BI has definitely done good over the time. So I think this is what I try to say. There might be another data engineering tool or another Spark engine, like in pipeline tool or something available out there, which is so good at doing that job. But when it comes to fabric, it's not about one thing being extremely good.
yeah,
It's a combination of the entire tool set, bringing it all together. And as an organization, I have everything at my fingertips that I could deliver. If I'm doing a personal project and if it is my personal thing, I'll probably like go and choose that one tool because that's it.
yeah.
But like this whole Office M365 suite and the fabric suit, how they kind of talk to each other, all those things. I think that is what I put my money on.
Yeah, back in 2018 era, when people would ask me what the best reporting tool was, I'd be like, Tableau has the best visuals, right?" But there's this, like, iceberg of all these integrations and things that Power BI had with Office
Yeah.
365 and embedding all this kinda stuff, and I agree, it's the same thing with Fabric, like, if you want, like, the prettiest tool or maybe, like, the truly most effective tool, it may not be Fabric, but if you want to be able to, like, read data from SharePoint and write it back to SharePoint, if you wanna manage everything with Office 365, just if you want Power BI to just work because it's already
Yeah.
there, it
It's the
makes
full
makes
tool
sense.
set. It's
Yeah.
yeah, that is like, and also there are so many things. So like when you want to do a job, you don't have to like um I have to say like because you also have you pay for capacity.
Yeah,
So with one capacity you got everything. So you don't
right.
have to like you started something and you're doing it and then you suddenly realize okay, this is not working. I want to get a different thing. You don't have to like when you I for me any database like a data platform project or analytics project, it's stepping stones. Like there are
Mhm.
various steps. There is no one injection and then it goes all the way to the end. There are various steps, and at any point of step you could go and find a different tool that works for you
Yeah.
within the fabric, and you don't have to pay extra. I mean, like there is a bit of license, like how much CU consumptions happens between the tools. There is those changes, but still, depending upon who is working, you can go and find a tool.
You
I
can
like
just
that.
focus on delivering results because you know what the surface area is going to be. Whereas, like, it's not I think about, like, web dev where sometimes it feels like it's paper clips and duct tape, and you're just building everything from scratch, right? And there's this new whatever NPM package or whatever. Um, and yeah, the licensing is good and bad. I think people who are able to, like, truly optimize stuff and maybe coming from, like, the Databricks or serverless kind of modes, they may not like it, but if, you're coming from Power BI Premium, you're used to it, and you can just build solutions
Yep.
without worrying about every little getting all these paper cuts from, "Can we use this thing? How much is it gonna cost?" I used to, when I would talk about Azure and compare it to Power BI, I would say Azure's like going to a home improvement store, and you have all these different types of lumber, and you better pick the right one, and if you pick the wrong one, you're gonna get charged $3,000 per month because you can
Yeah.
leave stuff running and, like, you mentioned Hadoop. Back in the HD Insight days for Azure, you would spin up a cluster to try play around with it, and even if the cluster was off, it kept charging you,
Mm-mm.
and it gets
Yeah.
scary, yeah.
It is scary. Yeah. I yeah. Touch wood, I haven't done it, but I know people who has done it.
Yeah.
So
The worst I've ever done is I've left Azure SQL database on in my own tenant, so I've wasted, like, 50, $75 per month for a few months. I got a few months of those refunded, but yeah, that was embarrassing. Um,
yeah, I know. It's just like so I was one of those lucky people who got their trial has been extended. And I on my personal tenant, my trial got extended for a while
yeah,
until this summer, to be honest. And I was not like, I was not I was using, but I don't think I was like a using. I didn't run any RTAs and stuff like that.
yeah,
All my models was pretty sensible enough as well. So maybe that's why I didn't flagged as red or anything. But anyway, so now I was too scared to go and use my Azure credits because I am really scared, like not being able to turn off that,
yeah,
like, they, but right now I'm on F2 credits, so there is no, I
yeah,
don't pause it. I just let it run on F2 credits, F2 skew. So
yeah.
hopefully it just stays like that.
One last big question before we wrap up. What are the biggest pitfalls you run into with helping your customers, or what do you wish you had known with Fabric? You know what I mean, for people who are
Um,
starting to work with it.
I I think one of the biggest pitfall I on the client projects is like, and again, I think I'm also learning this
Yeah,
space, is one of the thing is capacity management.
yeah,
Is like because what capacity is good capacity? Because so like when you're starting with a project, you kind of look at that one single project and you see, okay, it's performing well and everything and how it's impacting on the other things. But
yeah,
you are just looking at in that quite silo. And then as soon as you started like adding more works, more projects, for example, like you have one fabric project, everything is fine. And then you started doing one more fabric project, another fabric
yeah,
project, especially you start using Spark notebooks and stuff like that. And then you started seeing the throttling and stuff. And like I'm kind of, I think that's, I wouldn't say it's a pitfall, but it's a pitfall for myself because like I don't think I mastered it to say like, okay, this is the capacity based on this much data, like like
yeah.
that.
It's not intuitive, and it's a made up number, right? It's not like, okay, capacity unit matches to this exact thing. It's just every tool has a different cost,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. But I having said that, like, since like, so I kind of started doing this like a proper full blown fabric project like since last October ish.
Yeah,
Like, and in the beginning, my view on it to now, it has changed. Like I spend a lot more time understanding capacity metrics, CU consumption and stuff. And the way like I encourage, like every place I go to, I encourage them to have a dev capacity and a separate prod capacity. And dev
Sure.
capacity is like a pay as you go, and prod is like your reserve capacities. And and also splitting, like making sure that like when you're developing it, you keep it outside, depending on changes from organization to organization. But like I haven't mastered it, but like there are things that I'm learning, which
Yeah.
has been, again, touch wood, help been helpful so far. But we'll see where that goes.
Nice. All right. Well, let's wrap up with a few quick questions. So, what is your favorite Microsoft Fabric feature?
Favorite Microsoft Fabric feature.
Something that maybe
I
is
should have prepared for it, and yeah,
no, no,
but
it's
it
fine.
doesn't. I I actually really love Python notebooks.
Okay. So, like, just
Yeah.
not PySpark, but regular Python notebooks.
Yeah, I mean, I love notebooks, and then I enjoyed it with PySpark, but I just really loving how the flexibility of Python, because they're small and
Yeah.
I don't have to be scared to run like how much it's going
Right.
to impact on the
It's not
things.
going to spin up an 8-core VM behind the scenes like
Yeah,
PySpark will.
yeah, and I really love the flexibility of like just the concept of notebooks. I just really like. I like
Yeah.
how much functionality is there, how much you could do in
I,
it. Yeah, I
I've been
love that.
I've definitely been sold on it. At first, I thought it was just a data science thing and I didn't quite understand it. But I'll tell you what, the first time you have to debug one and you can just like click the code and run it and see the result and then edit it again and run it and change the data frame and change
Mhm.
this, like it is really nice for like iterative development. So it's
Yeah,
been really cool.
yeah, it is. It is quite nice, and like how again, I'm trying to adopt to the changes that's happening in the world around us, like with AI, and also like all the fabric and
Yeah.
the talking with your data, then actually creating the visualizations and things. It's just like I I really care about user experience and things like that. And if the at the end of the day, user experience is what you give what user want.
Yeah.
So even from that angle, I'm kind of like enjoying the trying to explore different options within the notebooks, and how we could I could make my end users to use it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. So what, if you have one, what's your least favorite Fabric
Yeah.
feature? Maybe something that has still needs a little bit of time in the oven or just didn't quite work the way you wanted.
I think capacity metrics app.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the work they've done so far, but back at the beginning of the year, I did some benchmarking, for loading just simple loading CSVs into OneLake.
Hmm.
And every every time I did a test, I had to make a separate lake house because that was the only way for me to make sure I got, like, that detail level, super clean kind of numbers. So, I think there's definitely more they could do on that for sure.
Yeah. They need like a capacity metrics, MCP or something that we could connect to and just chat with it.
Okay, that would be cool. I admit that would be pretty cool.
It's like
Um,
I just want to say, what is happening?
yeah, what's slow?
Why
What's
am
going
I
on?
Yeah, what's going on? Why am I seeing a throttling red line? I just need explanation. I don't want to click on things and trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, I like that one. That's good. And then lastly, where can people find you? Is there anything you wanna pitch, promote, whatever?
Um so they could, if people are from London watching this, they could always find me at the London Fabric User Group. We meet up there
Oh,
every
nice.
month. And I have my website. It's data-nova.io. I couldn't get Data Nova
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a as a thing. And I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so you
Okay.
could find most of the things on LinkedIn. I've not been active recently because I had a long summer things. I had to go to India and all, as you know. So, but most of the times I'm active on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and I have a little blog under my websites where I blog as well. So,
I was teasing a recent guest because she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry I missed your message. I've been on a holiday for a few weeks." And as an American, I don't understand the concept of
Holidays.
be on holiday for more than a week. Like, you're allowed to do that? I don't understand.
I know, I was on holiday for almost 3 weeks in South Africa,
Yeah,
and then for a personal visit, I had to go to India, so yeah,
yeah.
the whole summer it feels like gone.
Well, I'm glad you got to at least do something interesting. Well, thank you so
Yeah, it
much
was
for coming on
nice.
the show. It's been great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eugene. I really enjoyed our chat.